Welcome back. In today's video, we'll learn OOPS concept in Python. Object-oriented programming is all about creating classes and objects. An object is a group of variables and functions. Variables are the characteristics of our object and functions are the behavior of our object. So this OOPS concept is very famous because it resembles the real world entities such as objects, hiding, inheritance, etc. Since it resembles the real world scenarios, it makes us easy to visualize and understand. It is a widespread technique which is used to solve the problems by creating the objects. The major principles in our object oriented programming are the classes, objects, methods, inheritance, polymorphism, data abstraction, and encapsulation. So we'll look at each of them one by one. So what is a class? A class is a collection of objects. It is an entity where we store all our attributes and methods. So a class is nothing but a user defined data type which has all the data and functions together in it. So it's nothing but a blueprint where we declare all the parameters of objects and attributes and methods inside it. So a class can be declared using a class keyword and followed by the class name and a colon in it. So it is preferred to use an uppercase alphabet for the first letter of the class as an uppercase letter. We can create an empty class by just giving a pass keyword in it. So this is how we can initialize a class variable. So in employee class, I have declared a class variable employee number, and to display it, I have created a method called display, and this has an argument self in it. So what is self? Self is nothing but it is used to access the attributes and the methods of our class. Since it is an employee class and an employee number, using this self, I can access the employee number of our class employee. So yeah, so since this display method prints the employee number. So now we look at an object. An object are the instances that are created to our class. We can create any number of objects for one single class, but whenever we define a class, it is important to create an object so that it allocates the memory to that class. So the important characteristics of our object are attributes and behavior. So here C1, here the class I've created is class name, and I've created two objects C1 and C2 as the objects of this class name. So the important things which we have to keep in our mind are whenever we create a class, it is important to create an objects, and using that object, we can access all the methods and variables of our class. Now we'll see what is init function. Init function is a built-in function which is used when we execute the class and initialize it. So init function is used to assign values to the objects and other operations that are necessary when our object is created. So basically this init method, what it does is, it is a constructor method that helps us to initialize the variables and our functions which we have created in our class. So we can also create the attributes outside this init class, but those will be the universal to the entire class. But these init functions are private to the single class car. Now we look at the methods. Methods are the functions that describes the behavior of the objects. So whenever we declare a class, we declare some objects in them. So here I've declared a function called my function. So using this, I can print hello. Here I've given a statement, hello, my name is. So this function is used to print this statement. So any object can have any number of methods. So methods and objects are basically the functions that belong to that particular objects. So in simple way, we can say that methods are the functions that are created inside the class. Now we look at the concept called inheritance. Inheritance is one of the important concept in object oriented programming, since which it resembles the real world concept. So the inheritance is a procedure in which one class inherits the properties of the other class. So the class which inherits is called as a child class, and the class that has the original properties are called as a parent class. So the interesting thing is here is the child class can also have the additional properties and methods. The benefits of this inheritance are the code reusability. We don't need to write the same code again and again when we need to perform the operations using the child class, and it also represents the real world relationship between the parent and the child class. So it is one of the advantage of the inheritance concept. So there are many types in inheritance: of single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, and hybrid inheritance. Single inheritance is when a child class inherits the properties of only a single parent class. See, here the class B inherits the properties of only class A, which is the parent class. This is called as single inheritance. So now we look at multiple inheritance. Here the class C is inheriting the properties from two parent classes. So since it is inheriting from multiple parent classes, it is called as multiple inheritance. Here I've created a class parent and child, and this is a inherited or a derived class, since I've mention parent in its argument. So whenever I've created an object to this child class, it can also access the attributes or the methods which I've declared in this parent class also. Since function is the method that is created to the class parent, I can also access using this object which I've created it for the derived class. And now we'll see multi-level inheritance. Here the child 2 is inheriting the concept of properties of child 1. Since child 1 is already inherited the properties of parent class, so this is called as multi-level inheritance, since the properties of both the parent and the child class are inherited into this child 2. Multiple inheritance is nothing but the child class has inherited the properties of more than one parent class. Hierarchical inheritance is nothing but whenever more than one derived class is created from a single parent class, we call it as a hierarchical inheritance. Hybrid inheritance consists of multiple types of these inheritances, like the above 4 inheritances which we have discussed. Now we'll see what is the polymorphism. Poly means many and morph means forms. So it means having many forms. So for example, if we have a class animal and all the animals speak, but they speak differently. So here the speak is the behavior that depends upon the animal. So the main purpose of this polymorphism is we can use the same operator or the function, but it takes multiple forms depending upon the scenario. So the advantage of this polymorphism is it helps the programmer to reuse the code, and it saves a lot of time for us. And single variables cannot be used to store so single variables can also be used to store multiple types of data, and it is also used to easily debug the code. So example, we'll see the plus operator. Here plus operator is used to add two numbers, and similarly the same plus operator here added two strings. So this is how the plus operator is extensively used in Python program as a polymorphic addition operator. Functions can also perform polymorphism. So there are some functions in Python which are compatible to run with multiple data types. Suppose let us take an example as len function. Len function is used to give the length of the string or length of a list and length of a tuple as well. So it can perform the same function using the different data types. So it is a polymorphic function. Now we'll look at encapsulation concept. Encapsulation is nothing but it restricts the direct access to the methods and variables. It prevents the modification of our data directly, and it is an essential aspect in object-oriented programming. It restricts the access to the methods and variables. And a class is an example of encapsulation, as it encapsulates all the data and its member functions together. So encapsulation is nothing but binding together of all the data and functions. So the benefits which we have in this encapsulation are we can restrict the flow of our data in our program. And so the methods which we can control this are by using limited variables and methods to access the program, so that we can secure our data. So these are all the functions by which we can use the encapsulation, using single underscore, using double underscore, and using getter setter methods to access the private variables. So now we look at the data abstraction. Abstraction is used to hide the internal functionality of our program. So basically we don't know what is happening in the background, but we simply use our program. So since the user is only allowed to interact and implement the function, but the inner working is hidden from him. So in simple words, we can say that we all use a smartphone, and it has a features like camera, call dialing, etc., but we don't know how these operations are happening, but we use them. So this is the concept called data abstraction. The class that consists of one or more abstract methods are called as an abstract class, and the abstract method do not contain their implementation. So an abstract class can be inherited by the subclass, and its method is defined inside the subclass. So how the syntax looks like. From ABC, we have imported ABC, and the class here is importing the ABC class from the ABC module. We have abstract base class. An abstract base class is a simple application program of the interface of a set of subclasses. It can be used as a third party which provides the implementations such as with plugins. So this is how the working of the abstract classes looks like. Here I've created a polygon, and it's an abstract method. So I've created classes like triangle, pentagon, hexagon, and a square, and I've created an object for this triangle called T. And since this is an abstract class, it can access by using this object, I can access the methods of the triangle method. So triangle has 3 sides and square has 4 sides, and pentagon has 5 sides and hexagon has 6 sides. So I can get the output like this. Now the important points to remember are object-oriented programming is very easy, and since it resembles the real-world scenarios, and it also provides the reusability of the code, and using polymorphism, we can interfere for different objects so that the programmer can write the efficient code. Thank you for choosing to watch this video.